Well, it's been a few hours, so the buzz is not the same, but it's also probably because the result was as expected as it was before the start of the tournament, as Australia won their sixth Women's T20 World Cup title, beating South Africa by 19 runs in the Newlands Stadium here on Sunday. This is Gomesh, and this is the last video for me from this tournament. This will be the last episode of South African Safari with me, Gomesh, on the New Indian Express. Let me just take you through what happened today here. It is an historic day. Let's just start with that. It is an historic day with the fact that South Africa played their very first senior ICC World Cup final. But that was not just that. They they made sure, the South African people made sure, this is this is a step forward from what had happened in the Melbourne cricket ground 3 years ago, because we know 86,174 is going to be a benchmark, and it is not going to be beaten, at least for say another 3 years, probably when the World Cup is in India. But since South Africa reached the final, the buzz in Cape Town and South Africa has been incredible. They won the semi-final on Friday. On Saturday morning, 6 a.m., people were standing in queues to get the tickets. It's a sellout crowd. 12,782 people turned up. The stadium capacity at the best is 17K, close to 17K, but 12,782 people, that is the highest recorded number for any women's sporting event in this country. And that's probably all that the ICC could have asked for when they allotted this tournament to South Africa. Well, now coming back to what happened on the field, apart from the result, with this packed crowd to watch South Africa in action, they were bowling first. It almost felt like you are in an MCG for a Boxing Day Test match morning, where the crowd was clapping and cheering on every time when a fast bowler, Shabnim Ismail, was on a run up, and they just egged on and on and on until she delivered the ball, and then it was like ooh ah yeah, and depending on what happened on the ball, it was so surreal in a sense that you got to be there kind of a moment, you got to be there kind of a day on the field. I mean, on the field, South Africa did push Australia, especially when they were bowling first. Australia being Australia, they adapted from what happened in the semi-final. They did not send Meg Lanning at number 3. They sent Ashley Gardner, and then Grace Harris came up. They made sure they used their power hitters up front to counter this fierce and a very effective South African bowling attack. 156 is what they scored. It seemed like a chaseable target in the midway, especially with the crowd egging on, with the kind of backing that South Africa had in the previous 90 odd minutes. It seemed like there was hope. There was hope to do the unthinkable, to beat Australia for the second time in a T20 World Cup final. But I think it all got kind of boiled down when South Africa went set it in the power play. They scored 22 odd runs for 1 wicket in the first 6 overs, and from there on they were always playing catching up. Laura Wolfart scored 61 runs, and Chloe Trayon tried her best, but uh, we know the nerves that this Australian team can create. Jess Jonas and Ashley Gardner, they were just incredible with the ball. It kind of goes back to what Meg Lanning had to say in the pre-match press conference, where she said there will be phases where South Africa are dominating. There will be phases where we are on the back foot. There will be phases where it seems like we are not even in the contest, but we will be waiting. We will be waiting for that one slip up, that one moment that comes for us, and then we will just make sure we seize it. And they they did seize it well enough to win their sixth World Cup title, sixth in 7 finals. Uh, so it's kind of incredible in a lot of ways, in a sense that what this means to South African women's game. Sune was just like, this is it. We can't go backwards from here. You just have to keep learning, keep investing, and as Sinalo Jafta just said, if they could do with this much, with the kind of resources and investment that CSA has put in, what more is the possibility of it, and that's just what the future holds. As for Australia, they're not bored. They are not getting tired of winning. That's what keeps them going. They have a captain who's been captain for close to a decade now. They had a coach for close to 7 years who built this team to what it is now. And then the current head coach, who is only the second ever to win a World Cup, both as a coach and a captain. Second female cricketer ever after Catherine did. For her, it's a full circle of sorts because Shelly Neske was a player in the 2005 ODI World Cup that happened in this very same country, and she was a crucial part of that Australian team that beat India in the final to win the World Cup. For her to come back here and win a World Cup as a coach, it was just full circle, as she just said. It kind of sums up the kind of attitude they have. Two people summed it up very beautifully. Beth Mooney, Beth Mooney, when asked, Beth Mooney was the star of the match for Australia with the bat. She scored some 74 runs, not out. She was struggling. She asked to retire herself, but that Kim Gard didn't deliver the message to Shelly Escape. But she made up for it, and she was a player of the match as well. She said, "What advice could you give to any other team should they want to beat Australia?" She was like, "Just don't turn up. It's going to be difficult. Just don't turn up. It's not going to happen." That's the kind of mental attitude. That's the kind of thinking that keeps Australia where they are. Apart from all that investment, all the basics they get right on and off the field, and what keeps them going? Shelly said they've been pushed. Bangladesh pushed them for a while in that game. India pushed them. South Africa today. And any time a team comes up and pushes this team, they only gets get motivated more. They only want to be better than what they are right now. So India are going to be a really great uh, team, strength of force of in the women's cricket in the coming decade. But what how this Australian team is going to adapt to that will be a very interesting thing to watch. But it all ended in a very familiar climax. Seven World Cup finals, six World Cup titles, nothing new. But this tournament had the ebbs and flows. This tournament had the characters. Marizan Kaap, Shabnim Ismail, Sinole Jaftab. This tournament had the leaders. This tournament had their moments. And this South African team, this group of players, they are the one who made this tournament what it is. Australia winning is what expected at the start of the tournament. That is what happened. But if South Africa had not made what it is, then it would have been a kind of a buskill of sorts. So a blockbuster tournament to sign off, but there isn't much time. There is a next T20 World Cup in a year's time in Bangladesh, and Australia will probably be more stronger than what they are right now at this point, and it will be interesting to see how that goes. But for now, Australia, six-time T20 World Cup champion, they have the Commonwealth Gold. They have the this is the second hat trick of T20 World Cup titles. They have the ODI World Cup. They have everything at this point in the world when it comes to women's cricket. But the future is good. And it's not just for Australia, not just for South Africa, but everybody. That's what this tournament has told. So, on that very positive note, let me sign off here in front of this beautiful, beautiful stadium in Cape Town, Newlands Cricket Stadium. Like, could not have been any better. This is Gomesh signing off one last time from Cape Town. The last episode of South Africa Safari with me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for reading. Thank you so much for all the support. Do keep track of the New Indian Express social media handles and newspapers for all the stories that we give you.